Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure in welcoming you to the Vibrant Gujarat Roadshow in Singapore. The first Vibrant Gujarat Roadshow was organized in 2003 with a view to showcase to overseas investors the investment opportunities that Gujarat had to offer. Since then, 7 summits have been successfully organized, and we are here today to provide you with an overview of the next summit, which is being organized in Gandhinagar from the 10th to the 13th of January 2017. We have a galaxy of eminent speakers, and our first speaker this afternoon is Ambassador Gopinath Pillai, Chairman of the South Asia Studies. Ambassador Gopinath Pillai is a graduate with a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Malay. He is currently Chairman of the Management Board of the Institute of South Asian Studies, Ambassador at Large in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Singapore, and Singapore's Special Envoy to Andhra Pradesh. Ambassador Pillai, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think our Master of Ceremonies made a small mistake. I'm not the speaker. I'm just here to welcome you. The speeches come from the experts, including our High Commissioner of India, Mrs. Vinita Singh. I want to welcome her first, and then of course the gentleman from Gujarat, the Special Secretary of the Chief Minister, and all the others who are here today. I'm very happy to see such a good crowd. Obviously, Gujarat brings in the crowd. They have the pull. Yesterday we had a session. We had about 30 people. The subject was probably a little bit more important than Gujarat. It was the elections in the United States. and the position of Indian diaspora. The subject was presidential elections and Indian diaspora. And we had only about 30 or 40 people. Today, the hall is full. They're putting in extra chairs and so on. This shows how powerful Gujarat is, maybe more than Washington. Now, ISAS has a special relationship with Gujarat. And the two reasons. One is a personal one, the other one is an institutional one. Let me start with the institutional one. When ISAS was started, sometime just before 2004, the very first speaker, an outsider whom we invited to address us, was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. His name, Narendra Modi. Many people at that time thought that we were not being very, very wise, because Gujarat has had some problem and many many fingers were pointed at the government of the state, and they felt that this was not a wise thing to do. And some said that I should have consulted my betters and my seniors, and some said, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But we felt that we wanted to hear what Gujarat had to say, because Gujarat, even then, in 2004, was one of the best performing states of India. And we wanted to know what is the secret, what makes that click, and who can better articulate that as the Chief Minister. So we invited him. He came. We had a very successful session. He answered all our questions in his usual robust style. And everybody appreciated, and they felt that. But subsequently, when the recent election, general election, and Mr. Modi came to power with an overwhelming majority, those who were very unhappy about our inviting became quite different. They said this was our claim to fame, that we had done this. Either way, it doesn't matter. A think tank does not work on the basis of public opinion. The think tank works on the basis of what needs to be studied, what needs to be understood, and what we need to articulate as our point of view. And for that, we need research. So that's how we started it. Now, my personal experience. I used to be chairman of a logistics company in India for 19 odd years. Just before I stepped down, we wanted to establish a port hub in Gujarat. Gujarat, as you know, has the longest coastline of all the states in India. And it runs some of the best ports in India. So we wanted to set up a cargo center to cater for these ports. So not me, not my deputy chairman, not the managing director, but lower down the staff went to Gujarat, saw the people, and they were told to make an application for the project, which they did. And we also told them that we needed about 40 or 50 acres of land. The project was approved within about 10 days, which by Indian standards is a miracle. The second thing was they indicated the land that was available. It was privately owned, and they said, this land is available, you can negotiate yourself with them. But what comes with the land is the conversion of the land from agricultural land to industrial land. Most of the other places, getting the conversion is a major hassle. It takes all sorts of things, and we used to have a lot of problems in many areas. But here it's automatic. Once you decide to buy and you enter into a sale and purchase agreement, the land is automatically cleared and the conversion takes place. So we didn't have to go and see 10 different people or whatever that needed to be done. We got it done officially by the thing. This was a distinct difference. And even though I'm no longer connected with the company, my successors will carry on with the project. And I'm sure it'll be a successful one. So this distinguishes the Gujarat experience with some of the other places. I mentioned to you earlier that we had a discussion on the diaspora, Indian diaspora, and the presidential election. We had one of the speakers, Professor Chakravarti. He mentioned something. He said, for last year, the number of immigrants into United States from India was the largest of any state. In fact, they overtook Mexico, so they are number one. But he said, over the years, there has been a change in the ethnicity of the immigrant, Indian immigrant. In the past, it used to be Punjabis and Gujaratis. Now it is Telugus and Tamils. What he did not say, and which I'm sure I'm right, is that in the nature of the two groups, the Telugus and the Tamils, they come as technocrats to work for IT companies, multinational, or digital technology, and that sort of thing, where they are employed for their knowledge and their skill. The Gujaratis who come are entrepreneurs. They create wealth. They probably don't work for anybody, but they do work. And that's why they become so rich. And when you look at the scene in India, the number of Gujaratis who have actually gone up in life, starting very small. I know many of them who reading the histories. They started with very humble, small-time trading, and they become really successful because they're shrewd, they're able to see the future in a way. They are, not that they have any divine insight, but they are very good at assessing business opportunities. Second, something that is generally not, this may be not a very complimentary statement, but not about Gujaratis, about India in general. Integrity. The Gujaratis have a higher level of integrity than many in that part of India. Because people tend to take shortcuts, want to become rich very fast, they take. This makes a foreign investor very, suspicious, very difficult to make a judgment and so on. Gujaratis are easier to deal with. They keep to their word.
Probably,
as somebody was pointing out just now,
it's a rental model. And
that
technology which is sitting.
I have to compete with somebody else. But
gives you the.
When it comes to most deals, it is done on the basis of a handshake, and it is. Now, this particular vibrant Gujarat, which the MC mentioned, started from 2003, and it has gained traction. People from all over the world go to Ahmedabad for this, and they feel that they have opportunities to connect with. We are very happy that you are coming to us as one of the two countries that you are visiting to promote the next vibrant Gujarat. We thank you very much for it. Singapore is a very small country with 5 million people and 600 odd square kilometers during high tide and 600 to 700 kilometers during low tide. So that's how Singapore is. But we go up. We know that if we don't work hard and if we do not connect with the globe, with the rest of the world, we have no way of survival. Nobody owes us a living. We have no natural resources. We are only the people. We make the best of it. So one of the areas that Singapore would very much like to be involved with in Gujarat, knowing how clever, how hardworking the Gujaratis are, is on technology. Because Singapore is trying very hard to be a smart city. I don't know whether you can be a smart city. Maybe you're born with being a smart, but we hope we can train people to be smart. But we are pretty good at it, training people. We have a through path for kids who do not make it to the university. Those who finish secondary school, they have a choice of going to a vocational institute. Now, in the scheme of things, in India, people look down on this. They think a blue-collar job is inferior. I must be something higher. Incidentally, just an aside, the speakers yesterday mentioned that in one of the cities in the United States, more than 50% of the PhDs in that city, are Indians. So Indians look up for good degrees and so on, which is good. But in Singapore, we can't afford to lose those who don't make it to a degree. So we send them to a vocational institute, then they work, they finish their certificate, they work for a year, 2 years. Then they go to a polytechnic, where they get a higher level of technical education. And after that, they work again. Then finally, they go to a university for tertiary education. They get a degree. So from a dropout at the school level, they can't get to the university. They work as a technical assistant, a simple technician, then become an engineer and on to a university. So employers like this sort of people because they've seen the entire chain, and this is what we try to do. So in Gujarat, I'm sure there is a need for this. I know you are expert diamond cutters and polishers and so on, but there are other technology, other parts of technology that you would be interested in. This is one thing that we do. We have other areas, civil aviation, port development, infrastructure. All of these we do fairly well because we cannot afford to make mistakes. We are so small that we needed to be this thing. And Gujarat, even though it's not so small, has got talent which is equivalent to what we have. And I'm sure you will do well. I don't want to preempt the speakers and take up too much of your time. I just wanted to say once again, thank you for being here. This is directed at the Gujarati team that has come. We are very grateful that you are coming. You have chosen Singapore as your second port of call, and we appreciate that. We are very grateful to Mrs. Vijay Thakur Singh, who has just returned after accompanying our hyperactive Prime Minister to India, and 5 days in India together with a guest must be very tiring, but she looks as fresh as ever. So I want to thank her for being here. I think it shows commitment to Gujarat. It shows also friendship with Singapore. I thank her very much for it. And all of you for being here. I don't know why they decided to turn off the aircon. It's maybe either my speech or the fact that it's a full house. So Singapore does things in rather strange ways. So they must have decided this is a good time to save energy. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you have a good time.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your very eloquent introduction and welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to take a technical break of 2 minutes. There's some cross-connection between the mics in this room and the second room. So it's been fixed. So Singapore does things very fast. I was told 2 minutes. They've already fixed it. They fixed it. Okay. Right. Our next speaker is Mr. Douglas Foo. Mr. Douglas Foo is President of the Singapore Manufacturing Federation, SMF, since 2014, Executive Chairman, Sake Holdings, Director, NTUCU, Care Board of Trustees, Board of Governors, SAFRA, National Service Association, Council Member, Singapore Business Federation, SBF, and Malaysia Singapore Business Council. Chairman, Institute of Technical Education, Business and Service Academics, Advisory Committee, Ministry of Education. Chairman, Singapore Workforce Development Agency, Industry Skills Training Council, FNB. I could go on, but I think if there's anything I miss, please. Mr. Fu, quickly.
The Master of Ceremony, they're very kind with your words and the list. Her Excellency, Mrs. Vijay Thakur Singh, High Commissioner of India to Singapore. Mr. Ashwini Kumar, Secretary to the Chief Minister, Gujarat. Ambassador Gopinath Pillai, Chairman, Institute of South ASEAN Studies and Ambassador at Large, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Singapore. Distinguished guests from India, especially Gujarat, and Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, members of the Singapore Manufacturing Federation, friends from Institute of South ASEAN Studies, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. And a warm welcome to the ISAS-FICCI Business Forum on Vibrant Gujarat, Gate to Global Opportunities, which SMF has the pleasure to be the supporting organization. SMF mission as the driver of manufacturing sector is to represent the interests of the Singapore manufacturing industry and to facilitate its competitiveness and sustainability. We are therefore committed to help companies, especially our members, to establish their presence overseas. Such internalization ensures that our local businesses remain an important driver of the industry's growth. We have formed many partnerships to strengthen trade, commercial, and industrial ties. One such example is the MOU that SMF signed with FICCI to strengthen business relations between India and Singapore's enterprises. This afternoon, we are gathered here to better understand one of India's most vibrant states, Gujarat. I believe the aim of today's forum is very interesting. Firstly, it will provide Singapore companies with information on business opportunities in Gujarat and the annual business summit held in Gujarat in January 2017. And Ambassador has mentioned that it's a much more important issue than what's happening in Washington right now. In particular, the number of audience that we have as compared to yesterday. Secondly, this session is an opportune platform for networking with companies interested in doing business in India. I will not delve into the merits of Gujarat, as I think this will be best handled by our guest speakers this afternoon. Personally, Gujarat holds a special significance for me. I started my first business in Gujarat, in Kandla Free Trade Zone. And from the experience I gained, I've leveraged on Gujarat's connections for my businesses till today. Indeed, Gujarat is one of India's leading states in industry and commerce, and assumes a pivotal role in the fast-changing business dynamics of India to meet the globalization drive. Well, I started almost 20 years ago in Gujarat, and I would imagine if 20 years ago it has been one of the more forward-looking states it is ever in today's context. Given its strong fundamentals, its entrepreneurial people, excellent infrastructure, stable governance, and business-friendly policies, Gujarat is definitely a potential target market for Singapore companies looking to expand beyond their geographical reach. The spotlight for this month is certainly on India, especially with our Prime Minister's recent visit to New Delhi, where he met India Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi to strengthen bilateral ties between the two countries. Today, Gujarat has come to Singapore to promote their state as well as their upcoming Vibrant Gujarat Summit 2017. I'm happy to announce that SMF will be arranging a business mission to Gujarat in January 2017 in support of the annual summit. Apart from gaining insights into doing business with India, SMF's objective is for SMEs to tap into Gujarat's manufacturing market. This seminar will allow my team to better prepare for the programs where Singapore and Gujarat companies can interact. I look forward to working with the Gujarat team to make this business mission a huge success. I'm confident that our delegates here today will benefit from today's session. I hope we can gain a better understanding of the exciting market potential of Gujarat and wish all a pleasant day ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fu, for that very excellent introduction. Our next speaker is the Indian High Commissioner to Singapore, Mrs. Vijay Thakur Singh. Madam High Commissioner joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1985, and since then she has held an array of very important positions, including Counselor, Embassy of India in Kabul, Afghanistan, Deputy Chief of Mission at Madrid, Joint Secretary and Social Secretary to the President of India, High Commissioner, of course, to Singapore, and now I believe she's been appointed as India's High Commissioner to Ireland. Madam, please.
A very good afternoon to all present here. I am indeed very, very happy to be here. Ambassador Gopinath Pillai, Chairman of ISAS, Mr. Douglas Fu, President of Singapore Business Manufacturing Federation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am so glad that I am not the first to be speaking, and I am coming after two very distinguished speakers, and both of them who have had experience in Gujarat. And both of them had very good experiences in Gujarat. It also gives me an opportunity to actually comment on some of the remarks made earlier. Normally I don't get it. They put me up with the opening batsperson, and then the game is in other people's hands. So this time around I'm glad I'm not the opening batsperson, but I am coming in as the third player in the game. So what I can say, I agree with what has been said, but there are 3 points particularly what has been said, and I will comment on those. One is the attractiveness of India. Yes, I think today the attractiveness of India is such that it is beating a lot of other events which are happening around the world. We have the traction, and even if we are competing with viewership for the US presidential election, we seem to be beating them at that. Second, Ambassador Pillai had remarked about the work which was being done by ISAS, and he mentioned that it's an organization which does research and looks into trends, and I can only say that after hearing him today and the first mover initiative that he took with Gujarat, that the research that they do actually is very, very productive, because you're seeing the right trends, and you did see the right trend in Gujarat. And as I read your work of ISAS, which is now coming out, you are looking at India as the bright spot. So I think you got it right. And we think that the ISAS is doing a wonderful job in identifying opportunities. The third, of course, I've already mentioned, is that Ambassador Pillai has had experience in Gujarat, as has Mr. Douglas Fu. And both of them had wonderful experiences. Both of them have grown in size and stature in the last 20 years, I can definitely say that. I know Mr. Douglas Fu is now one of the most successful business person. Ambassador Gopinath Pillai, of course, is legendary, and his engagement with India has been long, and if I may say so, despite sometimes what Ambassador Pillai says, the little difficulties that one faces, which I think are now a thing of the past, he has had a very profitable association with India. And the purpose of this conference just now today is, of course, to look for more Douglas Fus, to look for more Ambassadors Pillais, to look for more Mr. Satpal Khattars, so that they all can go to India to seek the opportunities that are awaiting in India for business persons who are looking at the future and who are looking at working in a country which offers so much. So formally, on behalf of everyone present here, I would like to welcome the delegation from Gujarat, which is here to promote the 8th edition of the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. Now, this is being held in Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad from 10th to 13th of January of 2017. The summit will, as Singapore would know, brings together a large number of policymakers, leaders from the corporate world, international institutions, and academia to promote cooperation and partnerships and investment flows into Gujarat. Due to the accelerated pace of investments in the state, today we can say that the Vibrant Gujarat Summit is really the forum where you go to attend, to participate, to understand the dynamism of India, the new policies that are being formulated and implemented in India. Singapore, of course, is not unknown either to Gujarat nor to the Gujarat Summit, Vibrant Summit, because in the last edition of the summit, Singapore was a partner country, and we were very glad that Minister Ishwaran had led the Singaporean delegation. I was happy to know that the delegation is already being mounted, and we'll have the Singapore Manufacturing Federation going there with Mr. Douglas for leading it. But I do hope that the numbers are strong and the business persons are actually ready to transact business and get on with it, because there is so much that is happening in Gujarat. The details of what is going to happen in Gujarat will be given by Mr. Ashwani Kumar when he will give the presentation. But just as the broad sectors which are there in Gujarat and which are well known are port development, are industrial development. You have industrial estates there where you can participate. There is infrastructure development, logistics, services, tourism-related projects, skill and entrepreneurship development initiatives which are taking place, which Ambassador Gopinath Pillai had also mentioned about the Singapore experience of training. I think that in India and in Gujarat there is a large young population, and that young population is a population that is aspirational. In other words, they want to do something. And they are also Indians, and particularly Gujaratis are well known for their entrepreneurship skills, which is recognized globally. They have made a success of businesses. So I would imagine that going to Gujarat is where you would find credible business partners as you work in India. Whether it is large companies, whether it's the Semcorps, Keppel Land, Capital Land, or it is the smaller SMEs, I think you will find opportunities there. We do have a certain missing element of SMEs in India in numbers which we do want, and we should look at how to get the SMEs further engaged with India. And I would say that this Gujarat would be where you could find very, very credible partners, and they are all in various sectors which you could really, in the networking dinner today, some of them, the business persons are here, and you could be interacting with them. As far as India is concerned, I can say that first between India and Singapore, the relationships are very strong, and it is a relationship valued by both countries equally. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, His Excellency, he came to Singapore last November when the relationship was elevated to the level of a strategic partnership. And thereafter, we were very happy, and as Ambassador Pillai said, I've just come back from Delhi after a successful visit of Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to India. He was a visitor whose visit we were awaiting. He was warmly welcomed there. The leadership had extensive discussions on a range of issues on which India and Singapore cooperate very closely. And he visited, of course, Rajasthan, where he went to Udaipur. So I was with him right through, but I can tell you this, the Prime Minister is absolutely, both the Prime Ministers have a very good relationship, working relationship, and I would say both the Prime Ministers are committed to this relationship, and both the Prime Ministers are energetic. So if you do see a High Commissioner who's looking tired, it's because we have a lot of activity happening, and we have to just keep pace with it, and we are also very happy and privileged to be doing the work that is happening between the two countries, and excited about the opportunities that exist in the relationship. I thought I would just say a few words. I know that the audience here would broadly be aware of the fact that India is doing very well, very, very well, but I thought I'd just point out the fact that the direction in which it is going at every point of time, there is a reaffirmation that India is in the right direction. India is the growth story, and I would just, for say of just a couple of issues on which, and the major policy initiatives and the direction in which India is moving, we have launched major initiatives. The Prime Minister, since he took over, we are aware that the number of reforms have taken place, a number of initiatives for job creation, skill development, smart cities, all those for that initiatives have been launched. Make in India being the one, Brand India's initiative, which is getting a lot of traction world over. Then you have Digital India, Startup India, Jan Dhan Yojana. Again, Jan Dhan Yojana, probably a record-breaking initiative where you are connecting to unbanked segments of the population of India, and a large number of accounts having been opened, close to 200 million. I think for bankers it's very, very exciting to see the opportunities and the penetration that they would have as a result of these accounts having opened. Businesses start like that, and many of the people who opened accounts would start accessing the opportunities of credit, taking credit, starting businesses, and rolling on. In terms of course, if you look at the three strengths of India, which also Prime Minister has spoken of, Prime Minister Modi has spoken of, they are demographic dividend, democracy, and demand. I mean, you cannot underplay any one of them. If you look at the demographic dividend, I mentioned about it earlier as well, the numbers translate themselves into opportunities, one, for a workforce, and second, as a market. There is a market which is growing, and third, these numbers are moving from what I would say, if you scale them, look at them at a scale, they are moving upwards and coming more towards the middle class, and that is the class which has a large number of purchasing, and also they are the ones who spend a lot. So they are the ones which keep the money rotating in the economy. So you're looking at that demographic dividend as investors, where they are consumers and they will be spenders in every segment of society. The other is, of course, democracy, which is you do have an opportunity to be there, to understand freely what is happening. It is a country which upholds democracy, where people have their right to all fundamental rights which are there in the Constitution. There's a judiciary which is there. The pillars of the government are working very well, and you have also a press which is always there in India, keeping all of us well informed, sometimes over informed, I would say. So in this context, we look at FDI reforms which have now happened in a number of sectors. As you look into India, you see that sectors even which were traditionally, I would say, kept out, have now very much come in for FDI investments. It is defense, insurance, it is pension as well. So you have opportunities there as well, where demography plays a role. Because if you are looking at insurance, with the insurance sector opening up, the opportunities are huge. The government has also been successful, I would say. Last year, you had investment, FDI investment of $55.46 billion, which was the largest which has taken place. So there is success, as a result of these policies, there is success, there are inflows, and inflows from all parts of the world. It is coming from the Western, Eastern. So we are actually now at a crossroad where India sits in the center, and there is flows coming from both sides. And I would like that the flows from Singapore to India increase, because it is an opportunity. Singapore has always sensed opportunity, and Singapore, I think, should really, it is one of the largest, of course, FDI contributors, but still, I think the capacity, given the kind of resources and the funds that are available here, should flow into India in even larger numbers than they are. I just want to mention to you that there is a delegation which is here, which also has a representative to facilitate business into India, a representative from Invest India desk. Now that desk works under the Ministry of Commerce, and its purpose is to provide help and guidance to foreign investors, both on policy and regulatory aspects, as well as to assist in obtaining clearances. I'm sure the representative here would also give details on how the Invest India desk operates. And may I add that just in about 2 months ago, India did set up India-Singapore CEOs Forum. Now, the names in that list are very impressive. They are people who are doing business globally, and I would say that Singapore should look at it as a platform with whom to engage. and it is actually business people who are members of that. So I would urge FICCI to share those names which are on the forum list, so there is also yet another pathway which you can follow as you do your business in India. Success is there, as I mentioned earlier, but I could just mention 2-3 things which deserve to be highlighted. If you look at World Bank, India's growth rate, just for the doubters, sometimes people look and say, what is happening? And which way is the world going in an atmosphere where there's so much change happening, there's so much global developments. Within that situation of Brexits and other exits, there is a story of consistency, there is a story of promise. World Bank says India's growth rate will remain as strong as 7.6% in 2016, and it will go up to 7.7% in 2017. Those who have been following developments in India, they know that there is the GST, a constitutional bill for the GST has moved, and that is a milestone because of which others feel that India's economy will go as high as 8% in the coming year. As far as competitiveness is concerned, India has leapt 16 places to rank 39 in the list of competitiveness report for 2016-2017. This is published by the World Economic Forum. Similarly, India has jumped 13 positions last year to rank second among 30 developing countries this year on ease of doing business. This was according to the consultancy firm A.T. Kearney. Then the World Bank, again in its latest figures, when it spoke about logistics, said that the Logistic Performance Index, India had jumped 19 places to be 34th rank as against 54th spot in the previous year. So in everything, when investors would speak, they would say, logistics and infrastructure is an issue. So we are moving forward. We are moving forward 19 positions in a very short period of time. So this shows the pace of work that is underway in India. It demonstrates that things are moving fast, and they are moving fast enough that you're not crawling forward, you're jumping forward. So this is as far as reforms and its implementation is concerned, and we can assure you that at the High Commission we would be always available to assist and help, and we do look forward to your participation at the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. It would be worth your while to go there, and we really think that there would be a lot that you can take away from them. There is a dividend there, and we want you to be the first to get there, because the early bird is the one who's going to get the maximum advantages. So get there, and Gujarat is a success story. It is going from strength to strength, and I would hope that we have a large number of participants from Singapore at Gujarat. And with that, I thank you very much for your presence here today, and wish you all the very best. And India, of course, you will see that it will be on the map for a long time to come. Whether you're a short-term planner, whether you're a medium-term planner, whether you're a long-term planner, India fits in all 3 time frames. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Madam, for your address, and also for your support and guidance and planning for this event, without which this event would not have been that successful. Our High Commissioner had alluded to the attractiveness of India, so I think it's about time I invited our next speaker, Ms. Prerna Soni from Invest India, which is the National Investment Agency of the Government of India. Prerna, please come and fill in the gaps which the High Commissioner has.
Her Excellency, Ambassador, Professor, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and listening to us. I'm from Invest India and I really want to talk to you about India. India today is very different from what it was in the 90s. In 90s, we were very high on patience and very, very low on aspirations. Today, we're very high on aspirations. Patience is not something that Indians have anymore. But when we talk about the future of India is going to be extremely different from what it is today. And the reason is because today is the inflection point for the future. Today is when we change. Now one would wonder, why is it that India will change? What has happened suddenly that makes India change? A lot has happened. If we talk about reasons, there are social, political, economic reasons. Everything together has now come to change India. Economically, we are the fastest growing economy. IMF says that we are the top destination for investments into the country. Socially, demography, if we talk about, we will be the most populous country of the world by 2030. But the more interesting part is that we will be an economy with the maximum workforce. The average Indian age is going to be 29 years. 29. Look at how young India is. We are the people who will just go out and do so much. To give you an interesting fact about India, in 90s, an Indian born in 90s would spend $10,800 in a lifetime. An Indian born today will spend $188,000 in a lifetime. Do the math. Look at the opportunity that's come up in India. If we talk about political, today is a time when we have political stability. We had 864 million voters that voted in the last election. 117 out of them were young voters. By the time we go to the next election, this number of young voters is going to double. Now the government realized these reasons are enough. There is a lot happening in India, but it's not enough. There might be reasons, but there has to be a direction. There has to be something that we do. So to do that, the government came up with a lot of initiatives. We came up with Digital India, Skill India. As ma'am spoke about, we came up with the Jan Dhan Yojana. Let's just talk about one of them, Digital India. We know Digital India is all about getting internet to the whole world. Interestingly, right now, India is the second largest base of internet users. More interestingly, we are the largest of non-internet users. There is a huge opportunity there. Now India came up with all these initiatives. There's a lot that the government is doing, but we also realized there was a problem. The problem was ease of doing business. So the government went all in and made a lot of initiatives for this one particular cause. Our target as a country is to reach rank 50 in the World Bank's ranking for ease of doing business. We came up with the goods and services tax, the bankruptcy code. We came up, the FDI policy has been liberalized for a lot of sectors. What we also did is environmental clearance in India has become very simple now. In the last 2 years, projects worth 150 billion got environmental clearance. We also realized that India as a country has been making a lot of laws since independence for getting a structure into the country, but a lot of these laws were not applicable anymore. So in the last 2 years, 1,178 laws have been scrapped from the books of the country. While we do all of this and we talk about ease of doing India, one big initiative that the government took was Make in India. This is all about new sectors opening up, new processes, new mindset. Now the government realized we've done a lot for ease of doing business, we've taken a lot of initiatives, but there's one thing that is still left, that is infrastructure. India has realized that there is a lot of impetus that needs to go into infrastructure, which is why the government has a lot of influence. The government right now has an understanding of infrastructure, we have experience of doing infrastructure, and we have an intent to build infrastructure. Let's take a few instances of what the government is trying to do in the infrastructure sector in India. Let's talk about roads. Roads currently, we're trying to double our national highways. From 100,000 kilometers of national highways, we'll go to 200,000. We're connecting the unconnected, we're building bridges. From building 2 kilometers of roads in a day, we are now at 26 kilometers at a day. But we don't stop there. We go all the way till we reach 40 kilometers a day. If we talk about railways, we already have a high-speed railway coming in India, but there are 6 more in the pipeline. We're redeveloping 400 stations across the country. We've come up with 6 dedicated freight corridors because we understand the impetus of manufacturing, and we understand how important it is for India to have dedicated freight corridors when we manufacture more and when we export more. One very interesting project that has come up in India is that of industrial corridors. Let's talk about one of them, which is DMIC. That's the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, the one in red. This one single project is one of the largest PPP infrastructure projects in the world. This project alone is worth $90 billion. The government of India right now is looking for anchor investments for this one project, where there are going to be roads, ports, 8 smart cities, and a lot of industrial development around the industrial corridor. We talk about aviation. Interestingly, in the last 1 year, we had 26% increase in the aviation sector. The passenger traffic increased by 26% in a year. That is the kind of growth that India is looking at. So we understand as a country that we need more airports. So what we do, we develop 200 low-cost airports, and 400 of existing airports is what we develop again. Ports is very interesting. So we realized that if we develop more, if we produce more, we export more. So what we did was, we revamped our entire coastal strategy. Now what we do is we're building 8 more major ports in addition to the 12 which exist. And what we did was, we identified 14 coastal economic zones. So to make more sense, we produce near the ports and export it out of there. These coastal economic zones, there is already a national perspective plan in place which talks about what can be developed in an area depending on what is available in the area. So we have also, in addition to these coastal economic zones, we came up with 111 inland waterways. Logistic cost in India has always been high. We spend 14% of our entire fiscal budget in logistic cost. We understand there is a need to reduce it, which is why, in addition to the 5 existing rivers which were declared as inland waterways, we have 105 additional rivers. The logistic cost will immediately go down if we start using rivers for our logistics. Let's talk about smart cities in India. In India, 30 people move from a village to a city in 1 minute. That means by 2030, we will have 863 million people in cities in India. We don't have the infrastructure for this. So what we do, we're building 100 smart cities. These cities, in essence, will be smart by way of water management, waste management, transportation, infrastructure. But that's not enough. So what we do, existing 500 cities will be rejuvenated, which in future is going to take care of the increasing population in cities in India. Renewables. In India, the government understands the focus and the importance that needs to be given to renewable energy, which is why our target for solar energy alone has gone up from 20 gigawatts to 100 gigawatts by 2025. 18,000 villages in India had no electricity. They had never seen electricity in the past ever. Our target is to electrify all of them. 7,800 of these villages already have electricity. Imagine the kind of demand that goes up for electricity in a country if you add 7,800 villages to what you already have. We talk about electronics. Electronics right now in India is huge. So if we talk about electronics, we have a 75 billion market, and the growth that we expect in India is 5 times that of global growth. There are a lot of reasons which are responsible for this growth. You have the telecommunication sector growing, you have smart cities coming up. There is a lot of reasons. There are 100 more smart cities, 500 regenerated cities, because of which you need electronics. IT BPM, again, there is 2 times the revenue of what we saw in 2010, mainly because of the fact that 37 new international companies have come up and set up base in the country in the last 1 year. If I talk about financial services in India is a 1 trillion sector, and we know there is no end to this sector. We will go places. Specifically in the financial services space, what we've done is in Gujarat, we've identified a city by the name of Gift City. This is an IFC of the country, and this city alone has the scope of attracting investments because it gives you the benefit that an Indian city did not have till now. Ladies and gentlemen, I can go on about sectors and I can go on about India, but who am I is what I want to tell you now. Invest India. Invest India is the one-stop shop for all investors who would want to come and invest in the country. We work very closely with the government, we work with the industry, and our mandate is to work with all investors who would want to come into the country. We would partner with all investors, and policy advocacy is also something that we would do for investors. So I would want to invite all of you to come invest in India, come and invest in Gujarat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prerna, for that presentation. We'll be playing a brief film on the investment opportunities in Gujarat.
Dear world.
Dear world.
Dear world.
Dear world.
Dear world. Individually, we are very good. But united, we are simply amazing.
For whenever we have united,
We have done something awesome. So, dear world, why don't we come together once again and do something great?
Let us meet at my place, India.
India. India.
India.
India.
Old in experience,
But youthful in vision.
With people as warm as our weather.
with the population of youth that is much larger than many countries.
And with an economy that is growing at almost 8%.
Let us meet through a pathway, that is India's economic expressway.
Gujarat.
The state on the western coast of India, the most industrialized state in the country, and a preferred business destination.
We in India believe that the whole world is family. What we call Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. This brief is even more strongly displayed in the thought and action of the people of Gujarat, because we Gujaratis are a global community.
Dear world, here you can walk on time-tested roads to success. You can spread your wings in a boundless sky and float in an ocean of opportunities.
And you will reach your assured destination.
Gujarat can also be a crossroad for a new era of sustainable development, where technology meets climate action, where entrepreneurs meet clean energy, where young people meet job opportunities.
We know that the world becomes stronger where there are great leaders. The world unites where arms are spread wide open.
The world develops where there is peace. And collectively, with all these advantages, Gujarat has been ranked first in ease of doing business in 2015 and adjudged the best state in India.
This is the reason why the state stands tall, being India's largest producer of pharmaceuticals, chemicals and petrochemicals, India's highest cargo port capacity, India's only chemical port,
And the only state to have 2 LNG terminals, a statewide gas grid, and water grid.
This is a relationship between India and the United States where we believe very deeply that we can turn sustainable economic growth opportunities into a prosperity we have never seen before.
Come, join us on a bridge to 1,000,000 opportunities.
You can partner with us as Gujarat is a national leader in 15 out of the 25 sectors of the Make in India program.
You can go financially global at the Gujarat International Finance Tech City, India's only international financial services center with a special economic zone. and domestic tariff area.
Or benefit from the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, 38% of which passes through Gujarat.
Or you can be a stakeholder in India's first future city that is taking shape at Dholera's Special Investment Region.
Or you can invest in the central business district to be developed on the Sabarmati riverfront.
Our success as an institution is closely tied to this country's economic growth and development. For this reason, we're committed to catalyzing a vibrant India in addition to a vibrant Gujarat.
And meanwhile, if you wish to stay here in Gujarat, we have elegant townships where varied cultures live together in harmony.
Here, you can celebrate,
learn, enjoy wellness, or relax on the shores of India's longest coastline.
In Gujarat, you will find the perfect balance to live and do business.
Because the world always loves to return again and again where there is stability and friendship.
And for that, we have a strong reason to invite you here for the 8th time, the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit 2017.
Which in its true sense connects India to the world, where more than 20,000 delegates from India and 100 countries will unite over 3 days. More than 2,000 companies will participate, where heads of governments, policy makers, corporate leaders and experts will network and ideate.
Where over 2 million visitors will vibrate the global trade show.
where the global CEO conclave will deliberate on the economic agenda, where experts will share their ideas on development finance, innovation, smart villages and manufacturing.
Where a roundtable conference with Nobel laureates will ignite minds.
This is the right time and right place to spark off Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India initiative.
Dear world.
Dear world.
Dear world.
I welcome you to the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit 2017. Let us meet and network to build a better tomorrow. Welcome to the world's gateway to India. Welcome to Gujarat.
Dear world, a healthy dialogue will surely result into a healthy future. Be here
on January 10, 11, 12 and 13th of 2017.
At the 8th Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit 2017.
Gujarat, India's economic expressway.